Morning, everyone. Welcome to the September 28th, 2021 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We are glad you're with us today. We will begin as we always do with an invocation, so please stand and join me. Dear Heavenly Father, please look over us as we make deliberations and decisions for the good of our county. Please watch over our first responders and healthcare professionals as they continue to deal with the effects of COVID. Please watch over our men and women in uniform both here and abroad. Please bless our community as we continue to try to do what's best for all of us, and please watch over us as we continue to deal with the effects of the pandemic. See all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Magistrate Southern.
Here.
Magistrate Putman.
Here.
Magistrate McCullum.
Here.
Magistrate Berry.
Here.
Magistrate Moran is absent.
Okay, you have in your packets the minutes of the last fiscal court meeting as well as the special called meeting for ordinance review.
I'd make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have a pretty good list of activities today on our agenda. Welcome everybody here. We're going to start by asking Ms. Meredith Schmidt to come up to the podium and make a presentation about a project that she's been working on with several others, and that's the possible creation of an aquatic center here. And she wanted to update us, and with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Judge Schneider, for allowing me to talk today. I am getting out of a case for this, so he told me 10 minutes, and that's probably what it's going to be. But if you guys have any questions, you please let me know. I'm a nurse anesthetist at the hospital here. I have 6 children, and I've just found the need for another indoor pool here in Henderson. Let me get my clicker going here. So as you all know, the YMCA is our only indoor facility. We appreciate all that they do for our town and our community. They have provided so much to us, but we feel that an aquatic center, in addition to the Y, would bring a lot to Henderson. The Colonels do not have a proper length pool to swim in. The YMCA is not competition length, nor do they have some programming that I think Henderson would really get a lot of use out of and benefit from. So the aquatic center is really pretty neat. Unlike the sports complex, which I'm all in favor for, the aquatic center would benefit all of Henderson, not a small percentage of youth or adults. This is for everybody. Anybody from 6 months old to 96 would be able to utilize the aquatic center. And the programming available these days is just outstanding. It's not just your old ladies anymore with the milk jugs that you've heard in the past or seen pictures of. I mean, this is pretty awesome aquatic fitness, as well as rehab, learn to swim, and your competition teams. So this is just a picture basically showing that anybody, I keep going through my mind who would not be able to utilize this aquatic center and being in the medical profession. Unless you have an open wound or a bug, GI bug, you pretty much be able to use our pool. We would make it open to all the public, and a big part of who we hope would help would be our school system. Currently, our Colonel's swim team has not been all that competitive in the state, and like I said, a large part of it is just because we don't have the right competition size pool for them to swim in. We don't have the available time to allow them to swim during practices, and I don't even think they allow meets at the YMCA because we don't have proper space for fans and parents and anything like that. So it would be the goal of our committee that the aquatic center would be able to have grade school swim teams that would feed into your North and South and Holy Name teams that would feed into the high school. And we would also have a diving well, which Henderson County, only 1 year have they ever had a dive team, and they've went to Evansville to do that in like '86, I think. So, right now we have basketball, we have cheer, we have dance, we have some archery, but we would hope that swim would be 1st through 5th grade as well, and like I said, and they would feed. So I think these numbers have changed just slightly since I made this last year. I think we're now like the 7th largest high school in the state, but it's only by, I think the first is only like 200 above us. So we're right up there as being the largest high school in the entire state. In the last 55 years, we've only had 2 state champions in swimming. And if you count all the medals that we could have got, that's 1,400, over 1,400 medals that we have not been able to pursue and win. And it's not because Henderson doesn't have the athletes. We just don't have the aquatic center that's able to give them the place that they need to practice. The 2 state champions that we have had in the last 55 years actually trained elsewhere. They didn't even train in Henderson. But like I said, the dive team is also a big thing that we've only 1 year have we ever had a dive team, and they dove at the Lloyd Pool in Evansville, I think in '86 it says there. Water safety, drowning prevention is huge because we live on the river. We have tons of lakes and pools here in the county. I just had I think one almost 2-year-old drown this summer right down the street from my house. This does happen. It happens here. We've all heard about it. And bringing an aquatic center would greatly decrease our risk here in our town of having anything terrible happen like that to any other family. When I gave this same presentation to the city, Mr. Pruitt, my one stat up there, says 64% of African Americans don't know how to swim. He said that since the Handy Pool was shut down in the 80s, that he's guessing Henderson's closer to 80 to 85%. So there's a lot of people in Henderson that wouldn't know how to save themselves if they were to accidentally fall into a body of water. So how can we help with that? Learn to swim is number one. We have got to get kids in the water, adults in the water that don't know how to swim. The ISR classes are where children learn to float on their backs, even as young as 6 months old, if they should ever fall into body water. My 2 have done it, and they're very successful at it. And then it's the goal of our committee that we do a grade school swim. We're not real sure exactly what grade that would be in. We're guessing probably 3rd grade-ish, where any 3rd grader in the entire county would go through this. It would be a very condensed learn to swim where we got everybody in the pool, and even children that have never swam before, don't have any intention of swimming, we at least can hopefully get them to where they could float on their back and stay head above water long enough for somebody to be able to come and get them. I'm not reading a single one of these. Everybody knows that there's a ton of health benefits, and there's actually, I could have made a whole nother page. But swimming is so beneficial. There was actually a research study that researched 20 years of walkers, runners, and swimmers, and the healthiest after the 20 years was your swimming group. You don't have that hard impact on your knees and your joints, and it really is something you can do throughout the entire lifespan. Dylan Ward, the city project manager, and myself just got back from the annual Build a Pool conference in Colorado Springs, Colorado. This is put on by the USA Swimming Association and another couple that's pretty much all they've done their whole entire life is help people find ways to build a pool. So after these 4 days, we have come back really with the knowledge of how to make this dream a reality and make it feasible to where once we find the initial funding, it's not like the pools of old where pools are closing because they don't have the funds to keep it open. If we do this right, which we will, our programming will keep it alive and will be able to self-sustain itself. So we're not planning on the city or county bailing us out once we have this built. We will be able to self-sustain it. There's been numerous pools that have done that. And it's giving us a network of people after these 4 days that so many times I have a question and it's just a quick email or a call. If it's something that you guys have that I might not know the answer to, that we definitely can get that. So the first step in pretty much any pool in this day and age is a feasibility study. This is new to me. My father knew about it. I'm sure all you guys know about feasibility studies. But it basically is bringing a team in that looks at our project and says, yes, this is going to fly. They look at our mean income, our population, the closest pools to us, who would use the pool, and they do this whole thing of, yes, you know, you will be able, if you find the funding to get it built, you will be able to self-sustain it, or this really is not a good idea. This is probably something that you guys need to look at not doing. After talking with them at the Build-A-Pool conference, there's no doubt in their mind that this will fly in Henderson, because we really do need an aquatic center for the needs of our town. But like I said, we are not able to do any funding, any grant writing, any donation sponsorship, because this is a big project. It's going to cost a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not. But we have got to do the feasibility study first. So when we approach all these big businesses, we approach these private people that might be willing to give to our cause, we can actually say, look, we've looked into this. We've done the Build-A-Pool conference. We know what this is going to take to have this built and self-sustain itself. And we've done the feasibility study, which has shown that if it is built, we are going to be able to be successful at it. So a feasibility study, the gold standard is Councilman Hunsaker. They're the ones that did the Evansville Evansville started with the Build-A-Pool. As you all know, they're getting ready to open up their new facility in October. And they started with the feasibility study. The cost is $30,000, which seems like a lot of money, but what we learned over this Build-A-Pool conference is a good feasibility study is going to save you hundreds of thousands in the long run, as far as what you put into it, the design of your pool. So what we are asking today is our committee would like to go ahead and try and get this feasibility study done. And it costs $30,000, and I've already made a similar presentation to the city, and I'm going to make another one after this Build-A-Pool conference, hopefully in the next couple weeks. And we would like to ask for the county and the city to split the cost of that feasibility study, which would be $15,000. We are not asking for the city or the county at this point in time to put up any funds for the pool itself. I'm not saying in the end that the city might not end up, helping us out like they did with the golf course or something along that lines with the private-public funding. But right now, that's not what we're asking for. Right now, we're just asking for that initial funding to get the feasibility study, where hopefully we can find enough sponsorships, donors, grant money, where we should hopefully be able to fund this ourselves or with a little support from the city. So why would you guys be willing to give us $15,000? It's basically because this aquatic center is going to help all of Henderson. It's not only going to make it a safer city by decreasing the chance of drownings, it's going to make our community healthier by getting people active. Even your people with, Down syndrome, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of those people would be able to use the pool. The special needs facility, the people with autism. And we would be able to actually have a place for our colonels, our high school swim team, our grade school, our north and south, to be able to have a swim team and have a nice place for people to come to these meets and actually be proud of it, and hopefully have a pretty good swim and dive team in the future, because it'll be building on itself. But the number one reason is it really will bring people into Henderson. My brother, who a lot of you guys know, Ben Tappan, he traveled to Lexington for my 7-year-old nephew to play baseball. If you don't think people will come to Henderson for swimming, then I think we all have blinders on, because that's not true. There are not very many pools in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky is not a known swimming state. I think in the entire state we only have 20 pools that are regulation length. A lot of those are at colleges. A lot of them are at really big high schools. So with Henderson having a pool like that people want to come, that we can have our swim teams bring people in. Plus we have 3 or 4 counties just south of us that don't have pools either. And we'll pull from those counties as well, that I really do believe that people will come. And the neat thing about swimming is it's a year-round sport. It's not like baseball or tennis, where only certain times of the years are we able to use those facilities. This would be a year-round facility where at any point in time, we could have somebody in that pool bringing people into Henderson for hotels, for eating, for shopping. So I think we just need to dream big here and say that this is a big project. I'm not saying it's not. It's a lot of money to raise. But we have to start someplace, somewhere, and that's why I'm asking for the help of the city and the county to help pitch in the money for this initial feasibility study. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to try and answer them.
I'd like to, are you associating either with the hospital or the school system? What's going to be your vehicle to do this with? You have a 501c3 set up, or how are we going to do it?
Well, that's what the feasibility study will kind of help with that. I've already talked to the hospital. You know, they gave several $1 million for the pool in Evansville. The hospital in Owensboro gave money as well. So I've already talked with them. Nothing final yet on that. I also have talked with the school system, given them this same presentation. They know what the impact is that it's going to have on their school, but we're trying to figure out the best way that the school system can help us, and we can still have some control over it, because if the school system gives us money, the way I've understood it in our meeting is that we would have to go by their rules and their bylaws if they were owners. So we're trying to come up with a neat way for them to help us. And one way for the school system is our committee kind of thinks that a great place to have this aquatic center would be the old PCMA fields across from North. They will be moving out to the new baseball complex that we're going to be building. And that land right now is going to be kind of vacant, and the school system owns that 10 acres. So right now we're talking with them to see if maybe that would be a good place, because it'd be right off the I-69 corridor. It'd be almost walking distance of half of our students in the school system between the high school and North, Holy Name, we've got East Heights, all within a mile range. So that's how but as far as nuts and bolts of how exactly it's going to happen, we're still in the talk with the city for that, private donors,
Okay. The
businesses.
question I think the court's going to have is, who are we giving the money to? Would that not be correct,
Yeah.
Steve? I mean, that's the problem. I mean, we can't just,
Right.
and so you don't seem to have a 501c3 or a nonprofit or the school system or the hospital or somebody that we're going to give the money to that's going to oversee and pay for this. So, I mean, I think you need a little of this before you do it. I'll tell you what I will do personally. I'll
Okay.
give you $1,000 towards it from my money, not from the county's. I'm pretty frugal about the county's money. My niece, my great niece, she's on a swimming scholarship at Miami University up in Ohio right now. She's from Bowling Green, and she and her sister both were really good swimmers. They were state champions, and I think Jordy Prophet was the last one we had here.
Jordy was the last one. He was in my class, yeah.
One option we might have is simply to give the money to the city and let them take it and pay for the rest of the feasibility study.
The city is definitely on board with the aquatic center. Of course, funding is the number one thing that everybody from the city is wondering, and that's until we start our looking for sponsors and fundraising and grant money, which there's definitely grant money out there for this, then we're not really going to know where we sit. But I think the city has kind of talked about having that private-public joint venture, kind of like they did for the golf course. A little similar to that is kind of what we've been thinking. But we haven't set up the 501(c) just because the Build a Pool conference, there's perks to that and there's downfalls to that as
Sure.
well. So, and that does cost money to do that, that venture too. So I think maybe giving it to the city might be a great option.
If the city would
they're-
oversee that, I think that would be a good option. But I need a vehicle in which to.
I totally understand. This is such at a beginning stage where we kind of have everybody on board with, yes, there is a need and they see the need, but it's just trying to figure out the avenue to get there. And that is the slow process where I lay in bed at night thinking, okay, how are we going to get this done? And I'm constantly calling the people from the Build a Pool conference for ways to do that.
Interesting anecdote you told me when we first met. It gives you an example of the need, and this is a little frustrating to be honest, but our police department or City County Rescue approached you about using your private pool at your house for training because they had nowhere else to go?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, this summer, the fire department actually called, which my brother's captain on the fire department and head of the dive team, so I do have a little in with them. But he called and said, can we use your pool today? And I said, use my pool for what? And he said, well, the dive team needs to practice, and something happened at the Y where we usually go, and we can't, and there's no other pool for us to swim. So, they wanted to
It's a
come to
little
my
crazy.
pool at my house, which, is not, all that it's a nice pool, but it's not really equipped for a dive team. But our aquatic center would be, because we would have the dive well and we'd have proper places. And I've actually been contacted just from the little bit that I've put on Facebook by the Air Force, that they want somewhere to train. The possibilities are endless for people that will be able to use this pool and utilize it.
Any other questions? It's interesting development. The other thing I think about is quality of place for our community, amenities that people want. And I think this is one, I have a kind of a personal bent on this because my wife is CEO of the Easter Seals Rehabilitation Center, and I guess a little over a decade ago, they put in a pool in their facility for therapeutic purposes, and it is used constantly. And the benefits of the pool for their clientele is undeniable. And just as a medicine, an exercise facility, a rehab facility, pools are, without question, terrific tools, let alone the recreational aspects and the competitive aspects for our schools.
Right, and
So-
our aquatic center would not have just one pool. We would have our pool for our competition teams, which could be used for other things, and then we would have a warmer pool that would be used for a lot of the rehab, the elderly, the young children that don't want the colder pool. That's the big thing, too, at the Build a Pool Conference, is you can't just build one pool because you're not going to make everybody happy. So we will at least have two.
Yeah. Communities the size of ours, like 45,000 or so. Do you know of any other that have such a center? And I like the whole idea, to be honest with you. That Deaconess Aquatic Center that they just opened up in Evansville is magnificent.
It is. It's
So,
fabulous.
and Deaconess has got a big footprint in this area. So, but anybody else or in the area that would be 45, 50,000 has these aquatic centers?
Yes. I can't remember the names of them, but there's one in North Carolina, there's one northern Indiana, I think, that are about our size. And once they've found the money to build it, they can completely self-sustain themselves with the people that they bring in and the programming with it. Because the big thing with a pool is you have to be able to program it, because you have to say, we're going to use the pool for this and this and this, and then you build the pool for those programs. You don't build the pool and then figure out what you're going to put in it. It's just the opposite of
Paying programs.
Paying programs. Yeah. And that's really, it's not really your swim teams what bring in the money. It's the programming of the water fitness, the rehab, the learn to swim is massive. That brings in a ton of money. But we just, like I said, we need to have a facility to be able to do that.
Thank you.
But to answer, I will get some actual cities. I didn't bring my binder with me because I came, but I do have some in my book that I've kind of been collecting.
So we have a couple choices. We can approve the money now for the 15,000. We can afford it. We can take it out of contingency, or we can table this for a while. Maybe have internal discussion if you want. Finance committee will be meeting in a month. What's the pleasure of the court?
I'd like to sort of move on and make a motion that we approve the 15,000 on the condition that the city will manage it, and they'll oversee the feasibility study.
Yeah, I would second that, Judge.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Tim, any thoughts?
I like the idea.
We'll make
I'm
it
act-
contingent on the city accepting
Yeah.
our money.
I actually have to give the second part of this to the city again after the Build a Pool Conference. They've heard the whole first part. But I've talked to Buzzy, and he had a feeling that they would do the same, give the 15.
So if maybe you'd like to amend the motion just a little bit for the record, that we approve giving this money contingent on the city agreeing to accept our payment and manage the implementation of the feasibility study.
That is my motion.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that'd be my second as well.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please report back on the city's response.
Thank you,
and
thank
we'll work
you.
with that.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Okay, next, another presentation, this time from our friend DJ Story with Peel and Holland, our health insurance consultants. And DJ is going to give us an update on what's happened last year, looking forward, and also asking us to renew their contract with them, help our management. So DJ, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Judge and Court. Pleased to be here today. We have good news to go through on the health insurance renewal and information for this year. But again, we want to look back and see kind of where we've been and where we're going. So feel free and ask any questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer those for you. Our agenda for today is to go through the financial review and benchmarking that shows kind of where Henderson County employees' benefits sit in relation to the health insurance. We'll look at the 2022 renewal and then recommendations for this year. So a brief overview of plan financials. Again, the county's health plan is self-funded, which means that we're paying for the claims as they come in underneath a specific deductible. And so we like to look over time how we're shaping up in relation to those overall costs per member, which is what's on the screen here today. You'll notice that top line graph had a reduction in overall membership in the plan in the past couple of years. So that does affect how much the total costs are for the plan, but also we like to look at it on a per cost per member per year basis. Our projection for 2021 is slightly under where we were in 20. We did have some increases in the past couple of years from where we've been in the past few years, and really that's come down to some high-cost claims. Those things happen. We have folks that unfortunately get ill or injured, and we have some large claims that hit the plan. Also, medical inflation and overall drug cost inflation over the past few years is not going down, so we have to manage through that as well. But overall, we're coming in slightly under on a per member per year basis for 2021 than where we were at in 2020. And when we look at an overall annual cost details, there's a lot of information on here, but the big buckets when we're talking about the health insurance are the claims that we pay out, the stop loss or premium that we pay towards the insurance company, in this situation it's Anthem, and the administrative costs associated with the processing of those claims. And then we get certain reimbursements back if we have a large claim that happens. We see in 2021 that we're projecting again to come in under where we were at in 2020. That was a higher year, but it is overall 2021 is trending up from where we were at back in 2019, and a lot of that is due to overall medical inflation and costs that we have associated with our health plan. Overall, it's manageable, it's sustainable, which is a good thing. We can't get away from the fact that health insurance costs money, but as long as we are managing through that and looking what things we can control, then that's what we're focused on. In relation to overall benchmarks, so how do we stack up with other employers when it comes to our cost of our insurance and the benefits that are provided to employees of the county? Benchmarking says that we're looking at our buy-up plan here, that one of the two plans that are offered by the county. When we look at that overall, one of the things that sticks out is for family coverage that we have a lower cost for members on a monthly basis than national averages or even local averages in relation to benchmarks. And then in addition to that our deductibles are lower, plus the county, and back in 2017, and we'll talk about this again in a minute, but the county implemented an HRA style plan, which meant that certain dollars could be paid towards the health insurance by the county for folks that are enrolled in that health plan, and those dollars could be rolled over on a year-to-year basis to help offset the cost of deductibles and co-pays and things of that the employees might have. So what that means is that overall net health care cost exposure is less for county employees when you total how much they pay in premium and then how much their deductibles and things are. If someone was to have a health event, they're going to spend less by being in the county's plan than they would being in most average plans out there. Specifically on the family coverage, you see the delta there at $10,000 on that total cost exposure versus 14 in the averages. The other thing to keep in mind is, again, the cost of health care has continued to increase, and what that's meant is the cost of what employees have to pay to purchase health care has increased over the years. So we look at some data here, national data from Kaiser Health Foundation, and what this shows us is that back in 2010, it cost, on average, for family coverage, it cost people about almost $4,000, $3,997 per person to purchase health insurance. That increased up to 2015, where that average was almost $5,000, and then in 2020, the most recent data was that average was over $5,500 annually for a person to just have insurance. That doesn't take into consideration the deductibles and the costs they pay if they have a health event. The great news is that since 2017, our costs have not increased for the county employees, so they've been able to maintain and keep those costs the same. And not only has it remained the same, but the average cost has been around $3,900. When we look at the two plan offerings that employees can choose from, that average is $3,900, which is less than what the national averages were back in 2010. So we've got an affordable health plan that's also been a sustainable health plan, which is a great benefit to county employees and to the county itself from a budgetary consideration. So again, since 2017, we implemented those HRA-style plans. The cost to employees has remained under benchmark from where we're looking at those overall national statistics, which is a positive. And since that time, the county hasn't increased the cost to health care for the employees from a premium standpoint, and has not increased the deductibles or cost share when someone who has to go to the hospital. Those have not been detrimental to employees back since 2017 as well, which is a great win, again, for those employees. So looking forward to 2022, what's the outlook? Well, we got the 2022 renewal with Anthem, again, keeping the same plan structure and design and having the same network as we have today. There was a slight increase as far as administrative costs, a 3% increase. It's small dollars in relation to the overall cost of the plan, about $1,500 in total that would increase to the county. Anthem initially requested about an 8.7% increase in stop loss, which is a larger number, but based on the data that we brought back to them showing the consistency of our plan and the lack of initial claims towards those stop loss reimbursements, we did negotiate that down to a flat renewal, which means that there's no additional cost for stop loss premium. And then they did have an increase in relation to expected claims. When expected claims doesn't mean the dollars we actually pay out. As self-funded, we're just going to pay the claims we actually have. But the underwriter with Anthem is going to make sure to try to get that number as close to possible to what inflation and medical costs increasing is going to be. And so that means that they're asking for a little bit more for an expected claims basis, which all that comes down to is our liability slightly increased if we were to have a maximum claims year. That's where that comes from. But even if we're budgeting for expected exposure, we had a healthcare budget number of about $2.1 million, and our expected liability is still well underneath that. So that means that this is something that is sustainable for the county to maintain this renewal and not have to pass on any cost increases because there are not really any hard cost increases to county employees. Any questions on that? The health costs or the renewal before I step into the other plans?
Don't we have our employees, if they're married and their spouse is offered insurance, they can't get on our insurance, correct?
There is a contingency, right? Spousal carve out, yeah. So yes, if they have access to other coverage, that would not be covered under the county health plan.
So I was looking at the single.
Yeah.
It's higher than.
It is. It is a higher, one thing to look at when we're looking at that benchmark, that higher cost is for the buy-up plan. So that's the more expensive plan that we measured here. So the core plan is less cost. But the other thing to keep in mind is our overall deductibles and costs if someone were to go to the hospital is less than benchmark as well. Because not only is that deductible, that $2,000 deductible less than the averages, or the local averages at least, you're also getting that HRA dollar. So effectively, if someone's a single coverage on that $2,000 plan, they get $750 in an HRA to help offset their health costs. So it effectively makes it a $1,250 deductible. So you pay a little bit more for that buy-up, but if you were to be sick, you're going to pay less than the average person out there. The other plan is the $3,000. You still get that same HRA allotment, but it does pull that number back down, kind of back within averages there. Any other questions on that?
Well, and that cost for single insured has been pretty static over the last 17 years. I mean, since 2017.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's been this way since we made these adjustments in 2017.
Yep.
Right.
So moving on, the dental and vision were rate hold, so no cost changes to employees or to the county in relation to the dental or vision plans. HRA is with McGregor. There's no changes to the cost of the administration of that health reimbursement arrangement where people can use those dollars. So pretty simply, our recommendation would be to renew with Anthem, hold those rates, and make no plan changes again for 2022. That would be the 5th year in a row that there'd be no changes for county employees. And it would be imperative to continue to evaluate the budget because we can't get away from the rising cost of health care. We do need to evaluate if our budgeted allotment does keep us in a spot where we have enough reserve that if we do have that higher claims year, that we don't have to immediately turn around and charge the employees more or make significant changes to the health plan in order to offset that. Right now, we feel good, but I'm always a little bit more conservative on that because that can change quickly. So we just want to continue to monitor, which, us at Peel and Holland, when we meet with the HR and finance teams at the county, are evaluating those claims and looking at those throughout the year to make sure that we're aware of any things that are going to make that change, but it's important for us to continue to evaluate that.
Brad was bringing this up yesterday and was sort of bragging about it, and I concur with Brad. To have a program that you haven't raised your employees' costs for 5 years, you show me someplace else in Henderson that's got that. I can't think of anything. I think some kudos does need to go to the employees. Years ago, half the members of the court smoked. I don't think there's a single person up here that smokes. And I think our employees are healthier now, and I think that's really helped our cost because of what the employees are doing too, taking care of themselves, watching their weight, doing exercise and whatnot. It has made a tremendous difference, and I just hope that the department heads can sort of keep rah-rah on that to their employees and tell them what we've got, because we really got a good deal. And I know everybody doesn't think so, and you see this and you see that, and I hear a lot of people complaining, but it's, comparatively speaking, we've got a good thing, and I appreciate what Brad's done to make sure this thing works out.
Well, back in 2017, I think that's a great point, is that back in 2017, we had to make some hard decisions. We had to increase deductibles. We had to increase cost share to employees because the cost of the health care and the health insurance was significantly more. And we put some ownership onto the employees to make good health care decisions, to have the higher deductible, but also to give them the HRA to help offset that, right? And if you make good decisions with those dollars, you have more dollars when you have that unintended health care event. And so that is really important. I think it's a great point that we have to make sure to give kudos where it's due to the employees to help save that cost and continue to manage it well.
Well, it also, you get more productivity out of your employees too. My employees used to, that 10-minute break, I mean, it always, unless I was bird dogging it, it was 20 minutes or 25-minute break, so they go out and smoke. And I mean, so there's a lot of benefits from it.
Certainly.
I appreciate the compliments. I have to really say there's a team effort to help keep these costs flat, and especially Angela Comer, our Human Resources Specialist, is here, and she's done a great job working with DJ to help us reach good decisions. And each of the last 5 years, we've been able to finish in the black in premiums versus claims, and taken that reserve and put it into an escrow account for possible large claim years. I think it's up to 1.6, 1.7 million now. And so that protects us against the need to change rates in case we have one or two bad accidents. Am I getting that total amount about right, Ms. Ryder? Yeah. So not only have we been able to keep costs flat, we've been able to take reserve money and put it in a rainy day fund, for want of a better term, for our health insurance program. So in many respects, we are strong in that regard. And you see that this renewal recommendation is flat year over year once again. And
Part of that was your recommendation to create that fund, though.
Actually, it was DJ's
Oh, was it?
recommendation.
Okay.
Peel and Holland's. Well, we had no safety net for our
Right.
health plan.
You're going to have a bad year. Self-funding, the volatility of the medical costs, it's statistically, you're going to have 1 out of every 5 or 2 out of every 10, you're going to have just a really big claims year. And the successful, specifically in public employers, where you have the ability to escrow those funds and kind of hold some in reserve, it's crucial, because the clients that we've worked with over the years that have been able to do that, they're able to weather those storms as they come, without having an immediate negative impact to employees, and that just breeds the consistency to the plan. That then once you get through that, you can move forward and continue to have a good, sustainable plan for your employees long term. Because you just have one of the things for a public employer is to provide a solid benefits program, and this is one way that you can continue to do that.
Well, education has a whole lot to do with it, too, being a smart consumer, as we talked yesterday
Yes.
in our finance meeting.
Yes.
Instead of running up there to the ER, you may want to go to a mom's or one of
Yeah.
these quick
100%.
care centers or something, and people are, when you're using that HRA fund, it's easier to spend 25 than it is 75 or 150 at the ER. So being smart, and Angela and all has really educated our workforce pretty well on that. So being smart consumers has a big part of it, too.
100% agree.
The other thing we mentioned in the Finance Committee meeting was, by holding our premiums flat over the last 5 years, our employees were able to feel the impact of the raises we've given them more readily. That's money that has not been balanced by increased health insurance costs. So I think that's important. Many of you have worked in businesses where 2% raise is offset by a 3% increase in health insurance costs, So we've been able to really have a positive impact on our ability of our employees to keep more money in their pockets for their families. And so I'm proud of that, too. I think it's yet another example of the hard work of the court to get our county in a good financial position. So, any other questions on DJ's recommendation, any of the other statistics that he showed?
Are we able to kind of fine tune what's covered, what's not, or is it just Anselm's policies what we have to go by?
So we're a self-funded health plan. There are some parameters we do have to stay within as far as requirements of coverage, but we do have the ability to make adjustments to that health plan, similar to what we did back in 2017, where we changed the deductibles, we changed the way that we covered that, we added the HRA. We can do similar type things, where we can look at the data and say, it'd be beneficial if we adjusted this plan a certain way, or to offset costs, or to give back to where employees pay less. All of that just comes into there's a piece of it that's a people decision. There's also a piece of it that's just a financial decision, right? And so
Right.
if you say, hey, we want to change and start to cover this other piece of your health plan at a higher level, all of that just adds to the county's responsibility when it comes to the health fund costs. So. But yes, to answer, you asked what the time was, and I told you how to build a watch. But yes, yeah. So yeah,
It is our fiscal court's decision in the end about making changes to the health insurance plan, especially anything that impacts costs or revenue. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions of DJ? Thank you.
Yeah.
I will say this about Peel and Holland. They've been absolutely invaluable. I think Angela would concur. Their research, their bargaining with Anthem on our behalf, their record keeping, their ability to spot trends around the state that, and comparing us to those is always valuable information. So we have complete confidence in Peel and Holland. Working with DJ has been great. Angela, anything you want to add to that?
No, I agree with everything you're saying. They help make a hard job easy.
Yeah.
So.
So I would recommend to the court strongly that we continue our relationship with them, and the next item is the renewal of our contract with Peel and Holland. And because we're self-funded, we need this assistance, because otherwise we'd be, I don't think I'm exaggerating in saying if we were contracting out our health insurance, like most people do, we wouldn't have the bargaining power. We wouldn't have the expertise. We'd be more at their mercy when it came to rates and things like that. So
We're
Peel and
pleased to
Holland
serve.
helps us.
Pleased to serve with the pleasure of the court, so, thank you.
Anybody object before we move on to reading the resolution to renew that contract?
No.
Okay. Mr. Clerk?
A resolution authorizing county judge executive to execute insurance contracts, whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court provides various health insurance benefits to its employees through a self-funded insurance plan, whereas Peel and Holland is a health insurance broker that provides benefit advisory services to the fiscal court, whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court, in consultation with Peel and Holland, deems it in the best interest of Henderson County to enter into an administrative services only ASO relationship with Anthem Insurance Companies Incorporated for the administration of Henderson County Employee Health Plan. And whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court, in consultation with Peel and Holland, has selected Health Resources Incorporated to be the provider for employee dental insurance, now therefore be it resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows: that the Henderson County Fiscal Court hereby authorizes and directs County Judge Executive Brad Schneider to execute the attached contracts and agreements related to the administration of employee benefits. Anthem SO contract, Anthem ASO standard pricing assumptions, Anthem ASO standard stop-loss assumptions, dental health options renewal contract, Peel and Holland benefit advisory agreement. Furthermore, the county judge executive is hereby authorized to execute any and all other necessary and appropriate documents required to effectuate the intent and terms thereof.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, DJ. Appreciate it. Next, I want to call Jesse Howard to the podium and help walk us through our annual bit of business with which we help the Warm Center. And Jesse, we'll start talking about the closeout.
Yes, good morning. I have two public hearings that are procedural requirements to renew funding for the Women's Addiction Recovery Manor. Also, as part of the requirement for the funding, I have to get a sign-in sheet with everyone who's here outside of the fiscal court. So if you don't mind if I hit it to you, would you mind to pass it around?
Bet y'all didn't realize you were going to have to do that today. So the closeout hearing is just take any public comment, right?
Yes.
On closing out that funding, it's CDBG grant.
Yes, and
requirement.
yes, and I have a little spiel I do have to read out for you all. It's the same as every year.
During the public hearing or before?
Yes.
I make a motion that we go into the public hearing?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now in public hearing. Ms. Howard?
Okay. The purpose of this meeting is.
Swear her in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll swear her in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. The purpose of this meeting is to provide information regarding the closeout process for the Henderson County Regional Recovery Community Development and Block Grant, or CDBG project, for the 2020-2021 funding cycle. The Women's Addiction Recovery Manor has been in existence for 13 years. The center houses over 100 women on a daily basis. CDBG funds of $190,000 were utilized to pay staff salaries, as has been done since the center opened. Funds used for the original construction of WARM consisted of low-income tax credits, home funds, affordable housing trust funds, and funding through the Federal Home Loan Bank of Cincinnati. Funds used to house the women and pay utilities included funds from the Department of Corrections and Section 8 vouchers. With this being said, are there any comments or questions from the court or the audience concerning the closing of the 2020-2021 round of funding?
Any comments from the court? Any comments from anybody in our audience? Ask again, any comments from the public? One more time, any comments? Anything else, Jesse, for the public hearing?
Not for the first one.
Okay, if there are no more comments or questions, I need a motion to go out of public hearing.
So move.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're out of public hearing for that one. Anything you want to tee up for the next public hearing?
Nope, same as every year.
Make a motion, we go into the second public hearing.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You want to swear in again?
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Floor's yours.
All right. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide information to the public concerning the proposed Henderson County Regional Recovery Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, project for the 2021-2022 funding cycle. This public hearing also serves to inform low and moderate income communities that technical assistance is available through the Green River Area Development District in developing grant proposals for the CDBG program. There are essentially four main types of CDBG projects: public facilities, economic development, housing, and community facilities. The Women's Addiction Recovery Manor project is funded through the Recovery Kentucky program as a public service project CDBG. Originally, this program constructed the Warm facility to provide assistance for approximately 100 women recovering from alcohol and substance abuse. Warm is one of 10 recovery centers constructed in Kentucky. Since the facility opened, over 4,000 clients have been served. It has been recommended by the Department for Local Government to make application for $200,000 for 2021-2022. These funds, as in years past, will be used for staff salaries and operating costs. Block grant funds are obtained through the Housing and Urban Development Administration, and therefore the Uniform Displacement Act applies to this project. However, no residents will be displaced due to the activities of this project. For a copy of the Uniform Displacement Act, an individual can contact the Green River Area Development District or the Kentucky Department for Local Government.
Do we have any comments from fiscal court on that information?
Just to round out the record for the public hearing, you are Jesse Howard from GRAD, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments from members of our audience? Asking again for any public comments from anybody who's with us today. Any public comments? Thank you, and once again for the court, this is flow-through money in our budget. Doesn't cost us anything extra as a county. We take in the CDBG money and push it out to Warm Center. So,
Thank you.
make a motion to go out of public hearing.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and along with this comes the resolution approving application for this new round of funding, and I'll have the clerk read that resolution.
Whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court wishes to apply for funding from the Community Development Block Grant Recovery Kentucky program for the purpose of funding the Women's Addiction Recovery Manor, and whereas the Henderson County Fiscal Court endorses said proposed project, and whereas the county understands the Community Development Block Grant program, which is a federally funded program, and whereas Henderson County Fiscal Court is eligible to apply for assistance through Community Development Block Grant Recovery Kentucky program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Henderson County Fiscal Court that the Judge Executive and the successors in title are hereby authorized to execute and submit an application through the Department of Local Government with such assurances and required supporting data as is necessary to apply for funding assistance through the Community Development Block Grant Recovery Kentucky program for the proposed services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jesse. Good luck. Best of luck to the Warm Center, too. Okay, we'll reach the portion of the agenda where we're going to be converting the fruits of our labor in reviewing all the county ordinances into successful updates and changes. And I wanted to bring attention to the first one on this list. And yesterday I had a good conversation with my fiscal court clerk and some input from slight input from Mr. Gold about this Chapter 35. And we flew over this a bit in our workshop, and this is about fiscal court procedures. And I am suggesting a couple very small changes, tweaks to this, that we can discuss. We can go ahead and vote on at this meeting if you want, or we can continue to another day. But in your packets, you should have the original that we had discussed in the workshop, and also a copy of the new suggestion. And I'll point to two things that we thought might offer us more flexibility and more accurately reflect what we actually do, and also give us a little bit more flexibility in another way. But number one, down at section 2A, section 2B, and this is in the original, it talks about issuing an agenda at least 48 hours in advance of any meeting. The state standard is 24 hours, if I'm not mistaken. And as you know, what we do is we send you a copy of the agenda on Friday afternoons, and invariably something happens in between Friday and Monday that involves a tweak or a change or an addition, subtraction, and we send out the agenda again 24 hours in advance. And so both Kurt Wiesen and I thought, why don't we just stick to the state standard, so we're doing what they ask us to do without any question, and reduce the 48 hours to 24 hours in advance. And again, the way the new section reads, it's now 2A in this new version. The agenda for each regular meeting of fiscal court shall be distributed to members of the fiscal court, news media, and all others who have requested to receive meeting notices at least 24 hours in advance. And that gives us a little bit more flexibility to make those changes that happen without running afoul of the ordinance. And again, this is the state standard at 24 hours. That's one suggestion.
I would clarify, that's the state standard for a special meeting.
Oh.
There's no legal requirement for a published agenda for a regular meeting, although it is traditional and makes a lot of sense, and it's the right thing to do.
And I don't, neither the clerk nor I thought 24 hours in advance is unreasonable, and helps spread the word about what we're going to be talking about, so we have no problem sticking to the 24 hours.
I think that makes it more flexible for you all. I would like to continue to do what we do, because I like to print it out over the weekend if I can, but if you have to add something, I fully understand that.
That'll be our goal.
Yeah.
We don't intend to change that practice.
So,
The other change involves 2G, which is on the back of the original, regarding good of the county. Good of the county is not something that is required of us to do. We do it as a favor. Technically, this is a legislative body, so we don't have to take any public comment at all if we don't want to. And putting it in an ordinance like it is a little, I think, a higher standard than it needs to be. I absolutely think some rules and guidelines around good of the county should be in our administrative code, and when we update the administrative code coming up later this year, early next, we can certainly provide that, kind of set of guidelines around good of the county in the administrative code. But we don't think it should be in an ordinance, which is a different level of requirement. And so we replaced that, we took all that out entirely, all the good of the county language. And again, we will handle that in the administrative code. So is that acceptable to everybody, this new version with the 24-hour change and the elimination of the good of the county language?
It works for me, Judge, really.
Okay.
Understanding that you're not getting rid of the good of the county, but this is kind of like you say, it's a must-do. On the other hand, it's kind of your court, your call.
Right. And we all understand that sometimes good of the county portions of the agenda might end up in things that we don't intend for them to be, or some people might abuse that. So administrative code gives us more
Well, I know,
flexibility.
Mr. Golden, I've seen it really go bad, just because you get hijacked
Right.
in the thing,
And again, adjusting it in the administrative code in the future is easier than adjusting an ordinance, changing an ordinance.
And as Magistrate Putnam said, this isn't foreclosing public input. That's still something to be encouraged, but, and something that's been traditional with this court for a long time. It's just whether it needs to be enshrined in an ordinance or not, or whether it's more appropriate for an administrative code, exactly how that would go. That's the pleasure of the court, but.
So with those two slight changes, is everybody okay with moving ahead on the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. So I will have the clerk have first reading of this amendment.
Ordinance amending Section 35 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances with regard to fiscal court. Whereas the fiscal court held a special meeting on August 23rd, 2021 to review its ordinance and determine necessary changes, and whereas said special meeting, the fiscal court discussed changes to Chapter 35 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances regarding the initial meeting of each calendar year and procedures of its regular meetings. And whereas the fiscal court has determined it's necessary to amend Chapter 35 to update the scheduling of the initial meeting each calendar year, and additionally to update the meeting procedures of the fiscal court. Now therefore be it ordained and enacted by the fiscal court of the County of Henderson of the Commonwealth of Kentucky as follows. Section 35-2 is hereby amended and shall hereinafter read. A, all regular meetings of the Henderson County Fiscal Court shall be held in the first fiscal courtroom at the courthouse, Henderson, Kentucky, at the hour of 9:30 a.m. prevailing time. B, at the first regular meeting of the calendar year, which is to be held on the second Tuesday of each calendar year, the county judge executive shall fix the dates for the regular meetings for the year by an order of record. Prior to the next regular meeting, the complete regular meeting schedule shall be posted in a conspicuous place near the fiscal courtroom and shall be available upon request at the office of the judge executive and shall be posted on the county's website. C, special meetings may be held after notices given as required by KRS 61.823 and KRS Chapter 424, which notice shall contain the purpose of the meeting. Section 35-3 is hereby amended and shall hereinafter read. A, the agenda for each regular meeting of the fiscal court shall be distributed to members of the fiscal court, news media, and all others who have requested to receive meeting notices at least 24 hours in advance. B, the county judge executive shall prepare an itemized list of all valid bills requiring fiscal court approval. Such list shall accompany the agenda prepared and delivered by the county judge pursuant to paragraph A above. No bill shall be approved, Section C. No bill should be approved for payment unless contained in the itemized list for the meeting. E, a majority of the fiscal court members may vote to forego Section D and approve payment of bills not included in the itemized list as long as the bill is presented to the fiscal court. F, the fiscal court may approve payment of the list of valid bills as a whole unless there is an objection voiced to any specific item. 3, all or parts of ordinances in conflict herein are repealed to the extent of such conflict. 4, this ordinance shall become effective immediately and upon passage and advertisement according to law.
Make a motion to approve.
If you wouldn't mind amending your motion, we have a couple minor, we got our A, B, C, E, F a little off. We're going to fix those. You follow me? We have, in B, we refer to
No D.
the above, and we have no D, so we're gonna fix those.
So that D
But
is instead of the F.
Yeah, we need to.
D, E,
E should be D and F should be E.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve it subject to the change of the E to D and the F to E.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No,
So we have
I
a
didn't
motion?
Second.
And a second. Sorry about that. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on. Thank you. This will be the second readings for the next two resolutions.
Ordinance amending Section 28-3 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances with regard to rates for ambulance service. Whereas it is necessary to amend Chapter 28, Emergency Services, Section 28-3, rates for ambulance service to specify rates to be charged to provide an ambulance service for the City of Henderson and Henderson County are set by a third-party vendor under contract. Now therefore be ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson of the Commonwealth of Kentucky as follows. 1, Section 28-3 of the Code of Ordinances of Henderson County, Kentucky is hereby amended as follows. Section 28-3, rates and charges. Rates and charges for ambulance services shall be established by the third-party vendor in accordance with the current emergency ambulances services contract. Number 3, all or parts of ordinances in conflict herein are repealed to the extent of such conflict. 4, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage and advertisement according to law.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, and next. By the way, I know this is not exciting stuff, but necessary for government, so thank you for your patience.
Ordinance amending Section 67 of the Henderson County Code of Ordinances with regard to purchasing. Whereas it is necessary to amend Chapter 67 purchasing to update the purchasing procedures of the Henderson Fiscal Court, and whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court has determined that purchasing procedures are now appropriately addressed in the Administrative Code, now therefore be ordained and enacted by the Fiscal Court of the County of Henderson of the Commonwealth of Kentucky as follows. 1. The following sections of the Code of Ordinances of Henderson County, Kentucky are hereby repealed. Section 67-1 and 67-4. Subsections 67-3A, 67-3B, and 67-3D are hereby repealed. Subsection 67-3C shall be amended as follows. The county judge executive or his or her designee shall maintain the records of all small purchases. All or parts of ordinances in conflict herein are repealed to the extent of such conflict. This ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage in accordance to law.
Need a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have a resolution declaring some surplus from the road department. Mr. Hubiak with us. It looks like an old truck, an old van. I'm sorry. And I think he's discussed in the past about inheriting this van from the jail and using it until its tires fell off and things are breaking, so he's going to dispose of it in the proper way. He stepped out, but I don't know if there should be any questions or anybody has
There
any
is.
questions.
Go ahead and read it.
Go ahead.
A resolution declaring certain county property to be surplus and providing for the disposition thereof. Whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court is the owner of certain personal property that is no longer used to the county, whereas pursuant to KRS 67.0802, the Fiscal Court finds that it is in best interest of the county to deem the property as surplus and provide for the disposition thereof. Whereas the Henderson Fiscal Court wishes to offer said such personal property be sold at public auction in accordance with the law at the discretion of the Henderson County Judge Executive. Now therefore be resolved by the Fiscal Court, County of Henderson, Kentucky as follows. Pursuant to KRS 67.0802, the personal property on lists attached hereto incorporated herein is hereby declared to be surplus. It shall be sold at duly advertised public or online auction pursuant to all applicable laws at such time and place in such a manner as arranged by the County Judge Executive. The County Judge Executive or his designee is hereby also authorized to make such arrangements.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we're going to have the bid opening for our single axle dump truck, and I believe we have those over here.
This bid was for the Henderson County Road Department's a single axle dump truck. We received 2 bids. The first one is from Truck Centers Incorporated from Evansville, Indiana. Okay, their I got a bid 1. There's no exceptions. And this is for a Freightliner 114 SD. Okay, so the quotation is, this is for the truck chassis. What I'm seeing here. And it's 136,000, no, this also has the bid, 136,052, approximate third or fourth quarter of 2022 delivery date.
Delivery.
And then on top of that, they have the Impacco snowplow at $8,557 and salt spreader of $12,547. And the body, the bed, according to here, is another $40,575.69. And then they bid a Flink snowplow spreader, and the Flink is $85,57.67, and the spreader is $12,546.73. This is bid 1. Get the bid 2 on this call here. This is for a Freightliner truck, and the model, this one is a 108 SD, 108 SD, $123,747. And the IMCO plow is $8,557. Spreader is $12,547.
Who made this bid, Bill?
This same one, this is the Truck Center Incorporated. It's a Freightliner truck.
Just a different
And-
model?
Just different model.
Yeah.
Do what?
Different model?
Yes,
Just a
different model. This is another quote they sent. Bid price looks like 40 on the bid is $40,575.69. The Flink style salt spread plow is $8,556.67, and the Flink spreader is $12,546.73. I'll give you this one too. The second bid is from Volmac, Evansville also. This is for a Granite 42FR Volvo Mack truck. Okay. The price of the unit, this would be the body, equipment. Chassis is $110,497.80. The body and equipment is an additional $49,208.
So that's the salt spreader, plow, and bed for $49,000?
Well, I'm looking. Make sure it's included in here. Okay, Ettinger. Does that include those? The salt?
believe that Mr. Ettinger included the spreader in that price, but it looked like he included the plow, the body. It looked like that he excluded the spreader in that price.
Don't get that.
Yeah.
So it is included or not? Not included.
The spreader is excluded, but it looked like he included the flint plow as requested.
Okay. Yes, it has, yeah. The spreader, they bid this, the Flink spreader, he's assuming that we're going to use one of the ones that we already have because this is replacing a truck. Now, the plow will be new, but on this one here, they specified in here that it'll be supplied by us.
So you will take these bids, review them, come back with a recommendation next meeting?
Yes, sir, I will.
When would we be able to take possession of the POMAC?
This one here will be completed in the fourth quarter of 2022, or the first quarter of 2023. That's how far all these units production are out. So obviously, it will not happen
So you're gonna
in
have
this
to,
fiscal year's budget.
you're gonna have to limp by for another year then?
Yeah.
And without completely knowing all the details about current production times, COVID has impacted all supply chain, including creation of parts, delivery of parts to create these trucks. I think all county and city governments across the state are going to be challenged to, A, buy any vehicles off state contract, because those dealers don't have them either. We may find ourselves buying more used equipment that's available now that we might not initially have wanted to buy. And you're going to see significant delays on delivery of new vehicles. I think this is the new normal for the foreseeable future. And to Bill's point, this will hit next year's budget, so we'll have to take that into account. It is what it is. So, thank you. You'll come back with a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, couple appointments. One is my appointment. The other I'd like a vote on. The first one is Tourist Commission. Kathy Morgan, who worked for Ellis Park, resigned her seat on that board after being appointed last year, I believe. And Abby Dixon, the director, has suggested Kelsey Hargis as a replacement. I think everybody knows Kelsey. She's very active. And so I'm going to join the mayor in approving that appointment to the Tourist Commission. Water District appointment, Brian Pritchett, is his current term is coming up. Pete Conrad, Water Department, Water District Director, enthusiastically supports his reappointment, and I think they've done a pretty good job on that board over the last several years, at least since I've been judge. So I'm going to provide the motion to approve Brian Pritchett to reappointment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. You have in your packets the latest animal control report, and Tara Kilgore, are you with us? Yep. Any comments you'd like to make?
Appreciate
short and sweet. Sarah was supposed to be here to meet everybody today, but she's got some things going on. But she should be here next time. We had 66 animal control calls, 34 stray pickups, 7 return to owners. Our ACO, Caesar, and Sarah will complete the euthanasia training in Louisville on Thursday. And we've completed a grant for public assistance for community cat spay neuters. This will be a good start for awareness and help with cat spay neuter. And if anybody's been to the shelter lately, you can really see why we need that. So, and that's all I got. So if you got any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Just one. I noticed in your financials, expenses doubled about in every category, every line item.
Mhm.
Maybe you don't have the answer.
It's not my area.
Okay.
I've been there for almost a year.
I understand.
Now, Master Pubman, are you talking about, for instance, one is for the month of August, one is year-to-date, July to August. One
Okay,
column is.
Okay, I
yeah.
I was going from July to August.
Right,
My
right.
mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So with the 66 returned back to the owners,
Oh,
is there a fee to that, with that?
When they return back to owners, usually there is a fee, because, we house them, we.
Right.
So it depends really, but usually there's supposed to be a fee in place, yes.
Do you spay and neuter them before you return them?
No, not usually. No, I mean, like, you mean if we have a stray and the owner, it's the stray's owner, is that what you mean?
Well, once you get, he's stray if you catch him out running around, right?
Right, yeah. Well, okay, like, if they're on stray hold, they stay on stray hold for 7 days, and we assume the owner, either doesn't want them, or, because usually, if you lose your pet, you're gonna call the Humane Society. So we assume that they're just not gonna be reclaimed, and we don't let them back out. We don't re-adopt them unless they are spayed and neutered, yes, because we don't want to keep having problems.
Thank you.
Make a motion to accept their report.
Actually, we don't
accept.
we don't vote on their report, but as courtesy. they
I was just
bring
going to
us.
accept it. I wasn't going to approve it or anything.
Any other questions of Tara? Thank you for pinch hitting today.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, next, detention center reports. Speaking of another pinch hitter.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have the inmate trust reconciliation. I guess you guys have that in your packets.
Yes.
If you have any questions, I finally got it completed.
Are we all back on the
Yes.
right software?
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sorry you all had to go through that.
Yes, it was rough.
Any other questions about this inmate trust account? They reconcile it every year and submit it to us for approval. And make a motion to accept. Anybody have a motion to accept?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions of Lori on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Where do we stand on the vegetable garden and needing help?
To be honest, I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I do know that I, along with several other employees, got out there one morning pretty early and collected what was left, and I know they were pulling a lot of stuff up.
Okay.
So.
I'll check with Amy later today and see if they need help. Tomorrow, Wednesday morning was kind of the date that she had in mind, but it fluctuates depending on whether they think it needs to come out yet or not, so
Yeah.
I'll double check with her.
Yeah.
She also asked me a question, and Lori, this doesn't have anything to do with you, but the jailer would like me to bring before the court approval on bidding out the expansion to their training building, which will then be converted into the new driver's license branch. And she's not here today because I know there's probably a lot going on at the jail, but she simply needed our blessing to go ahead and prepare the spec and begin to bid that out.
Make a motion to allow them to go ahead and put it out for bid.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will make sure she works with Kurt about advertising that properly and getting it out there.
Excellent.
Okay, Renee Sadler, our county clerk's report, please.
Goodness. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Today, I have the report for the payments made to the Henderson County Treasurer for the month of August 2021. So excess fees for the month, we have $167,619.67 with excess fees in the amount, that was excess fees. The total amount remitted is $220,763.75. And that's about $39,000 more than August of 2020 comparative.
I sincerely hope
So-
the problem with getting new vehicles in lots here doesn't put a damper on your,
Well, we've seen a little bit of a slowdown this month as far as foot traffic. So we'll see what next month's report shows. So
any other questions of Renisa?
Move to accept.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gold, your report?
All right, Judge, only 3 smaller checks today. The bulk of our reimbursements were done at the beginning of the month. We have jail fees collected in the amount of $521.25, $86.25, and interest in the amount of $1.92. So for a total today of $609.42, bringing the fiscal year total to date to $78,343.96.
Make a motion to accept.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Treasurer Ryder, talk about transfers and claims.
The transfers are as presented, and these are reallocating within the current year budget for appropriations. And part of this is done in preparation of closing the first quarter of this fiscal year and starting the second quarter.
Any other questions about those transfers? Relatively minor. Finance Committee met over these yesterday in the claims. Any comments from members of the Finance Committee?
I'm good, Judge, but I move to accept that.
Second the transfers. Second that.
Motion and a second to approve the transfers. Any other questions?
I have a question, really don't have to do with this, but we was talking about the bids on the trucks and not coming in until next year. If we purchased the truck this year, would it not fall into this year's budget?
No, we won't pay for it.
We can't pay for it until we receive it. Can't pay for it in advance.
Even though it's allocated for this year?
That's right.
That's right.
We might
Nothing like simple, is it?
It's an accounting thing.
I mean, we're required to only pay after we receive the item.
Can we send Tim to Frankfurt and to the auditor's office and see if he can work out a deal with them?
You know, I know it's meant to be humorous, but this is an issue.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an issue, and it's going to be an issue for cities and counties as they try to manage their budgets. It's going to be a problem. We'll have to work this out, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But we cannot pay in advance.
We'll just have to catch up. I mean, seriously, we're going to have to catch up with the equipment. It's whenever it's available.
Yeah. Right. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Claims?
You've received your bank balances, and after paying claims today, the day-to-day appropriation line should be at approximately 25%. I do have additional claims from the general fund to the Kentucky State Treasurer in the amount of $8,613.81. This is for the State Auditor's Office year ending December 31st, 2020, the clerk fee audit and the sheriff fee audit, and it's to come from the auditing appropriation line. To Slade Print in the amount of $812.65. This is for annual supplies and quarterly mail services for the quarterly payroll tax returns. From the jail fund to Advanced Document Solutions, $1,268.39. This is for the copier lease and is to come from the data processing equipment appropriation line. To Bob Barker in the amount of $6,726.28. This is for prisoner clothing and is to come from that appropriation line.
And Bob Barker is a company and not merely,
Yes, it is a company that provides the.
not just some guy we found.
No.
I would make a motion to approve the claims on the printed and as added to.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
I do have a question to Kenny. Kenny, I just noticed your Wi-Fi bill was pretty high. Is there any way we can negotiate something better? I know you need it.
Kenny, if you want to come up, I guess we're specifically talking about the slight added expense on the Wi-Fi unit that you have on your truck. Is that right?
It's actually more than just the truck. We have a couple of different units. One in the Emergency Operations Center, the mobile command post, which we ran at the Health Department for the entire portion of COVID up until just the last few months. Those are added expenses that we can turn off when we don't need them. So it'll fluctuate a little bit here and there. So the changes that you probably saw were from the adding of those Wi-Fi components, if you will. Like I said, it'll fluctuate between, I think we had 1,500-ish in that particular line item for the year. I thought we would just move monies from another line item within our supplies budget over to supplement that, and then as we need to, and then move it back.
Okay, I didn't know if we needed to see if we could get a better long-term, like an unlimited plan, or...
It is an unlimited plan, and it's through FirstNet, so we can't get anything any better.
Oh, okay. That's basically all I needed to know then. If you can't get any better, I know you needed
No,
it.
we got the best.
And Kenny's a penny pincher. He would get a good deal.
And I appreciate it. I do. I really do. So thank you. That's all I had.
One other thing. The internet service within the county is split on a department basis, and it's about $600, and Kenny's department, he absorbed that this year also. That's the way we handle that.
Okay, that's fine. I don't have any further questions. I'm sorry.
So we do have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Under old business, I don't have any old business. Anybody else have any old business? Yeah. Any of our department heads have any further additions? David Crafton?
Judge, you kind of led the way on talking about the problems with getting vehicles, new vehicles. And we run into that problem for the last couple of years. And we are wanting to, instead of going through price contract, put 3 vehicles out for bid. They are 2021 Durangos, all-wheel drive. And so that's why I'm coming to request the court to approve putting put out for bid 3 2021 Dodge Durango Pursuit vehicles.
You do have a vehicle budget. Would these fall within that
I
budget?
do, yeah, they will, yeah.
I have no problem. I mean, it's your budget line item. If you don't believe you can get them through state contract.
What's happened before is by the time the contract's approved, then they start building them. We get them probably, the last time we went through, Dodge is the cheapest one. And when we ordered 2, they got us 1 by, I think it was May or June of the next year. So it took that long to get it, and then we didn't get everything we ordered. And we've already found some on the lot that we can get right now if we put it out for bid.
Yeah.
So.
I don't see any problem with going out to bid. I'd make a motion to let him go out to bid.
When you go out for bid, are you specifically going for the Dodge, or could you look at Fords too?
Yeah, well, the Ford's about $4,000 more, a little bit more than $4,000 more per vehicle. So Dodge is the cheapest way to go with what we spec out, so.
Yeah, that's the wrinkle with the sheriff's department. They have to have certain specs in order to become police vehicles, certain
Right.
things on them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, Sheriff? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any of our other department heads have any further? Bill? Yeah.
I thought we already let him talk.
I was thinking the same thing.
He's coming back.
We haven't blacktop in your area yet, so
He's
might
hard
want to
of
be
hearing.
nice.
He doesn't know it's me. Listen.
Couple things. Number one, I would like to have court's approval to increase my road supervisor to his full salary. He's past his probationary period. This is a budgeted line item in my budget that, take him.
So it won't be exceeding the line item, but we will be raising his
It's not going to
pay.
exceed it, no.
Okay.
It's exactly what it is. We put it in that way so that he would get his increase after he finishes probationary period.
I'd make a motion to
And he's-
approve.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. We're talking about Glenn Cummings.
He's
And
he's
he-
working out very well.
Good deal.
Okay, so. I'll need your approval on that, and then I'll have him sign it.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions of Bill? Glad that Glenn is fitting in well and doing that job well. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Bill, one thing I really appreciated was Glenn pushing out the paving schedule for September. I think you're through. Did you get through it even with the rain?
Yeah, we still got, we're paving today, and they're gonna be paving tomorrow, and, no, they're paving today and tomorrow, then they're gonna be back on Friday and Saturday, then they're gonna be gone for 5 days, and then they'll be back again doing more of it, yes.
It would be great if we could get the schedule for October.
I will-
and we'll
I will
push
get that
out.
to you as soon as
I've heard a lot of people say that they appreciated that heads up and the approximate dates when they
Yes.
were going to be on the road.
I had one, Charlie, the lady called me, and I explained to her that the rain pushed it back, and she was good either way, but we'd make sure she'd get to her
Thank you for
doctor's
taking.
appointment.
Yeah, she
About
had a
that.
small surgery that she had to do, and,
No, it's-
and she needed to be able to get out
Yeah,
and.
everything's been
So
working
I
out pretty
appreciate
good.
it.
I know it's been a little bit of an inconvenience to some of the citizens, but the paving is really looking exceptional, especially when they can pull the whole road in one pass.
So that's the difference. Now we have a machine that covers the entire road, which
Yeah.
is great. It does more efficiently, but you can't drive around
Right,
it. So it's
exactly.
good to know this
But
this
anyway.
schedule.
I appreciate Bill taking care of that.
Anyway, second item, I'd like the court's permission to purchase a F-250 off of the state contract, and hopefully we would receive it before the end of this fiscal year. They're that far out, but this is for that replacement of the van that we surplused out that is beyond its useful life.
And you've got budget for that.
So-
They've
It's a
got
budget line.
10,000 of them sitting up on the speedway up between Cincinnati and,
Without
Kentucky
chips.
Motor
without
Speedway.
chips. I mean,
There's
yeah,
plenty of them,
chips.
it's just.
They won't run,
You need the
but-
chip, it
yeah.
don't work without the
Okay.
chip.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
Back
to-
on the, to update fiscal court, the blacktop is moving along well. Everything is going along good. The communication between us and Yeager's has been exceptional. The quality of work and the safety has been exceptional. We're very well pleased with their performance. They are pretty much right on target with their estimated numbers, which is very good because it keeps me where I need to be at with getting everything done that we have scheduled to get done. And along with that, we started pulling the shoulders back on the road, the first phase, because those roads have cured out where we can get our equipment on there without tearing up the new blacktop to pull them back. So we have started that.
I'm
this
interested to know,
week.
how do you pull them back? What do you do?
We
exactly?
have to use the grade all machine out there, and the bucket edges it all back up to the road surface edge. So it fills that void back in and levels down. If there's any excess material, we have a truck there that hauls it off. Okay, so you know. All right, and another good news, Roberts Road Bridge is complete. We're waiting for the concrete to cure on the bridge ends. If everything goes well, we will open it up to traffic for this weekend. Okay, and it's on target. The company did a great job. Everything was done in accordance to all of the specifications. They were easy to work with, and they were very short-handed. I've never seen two guys and occasionally a third guy build the whole bridge. But they have the same problems everybody else has. They can't get help.
Yeah.
So, but they're on time, and, you know, it's a good deal. Everything was good.
Do you
So-
need a motion on the truck?
I don't think so.
No, it's budgeted
Okay.
item, but I just
Yeah.
want to make sure the court
And he's
is
getting it
aware.
off the state contract, hopefully.
Okay.
If you can't get it off state contract and you need to bid it out, just come back to
Yeah,
us.
we will.
Yeah.
There's no one that's going to bid on it, nobody has one.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, you know, I mean, I can sell my personal truck back that's a 2014, but I have nothing to replace it with.
Right.
They want to give you big dollars, they have no inventory. Rocking the roads, we're still continuing. We just about have all the county covered. I haven't heard any complaints from our farmer friends in any of the districts. We tried to stay ahead of it. Of course, we had to prep the roads first for blacktopping, and the motor graders can't be doing 2 jobs at one time. So yes, we did pull the shoulders, roll them out a lot sooner, but then we had to get on the harvest and everything. So it's got to fit together. Everybody's got to try to bear with it a little bit, but everything's moving along. So Kurt, we will be good on our FEMA numbers and everything else. So anyway, I thank you for keeping track of that. So, any other questions?
Make sure District 1's on the schedule for blacktop.
I don't know.
And it,
I think, you're spending too much time in Florida, I think.
hey, it's all right if you do Butch's roads before mine, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, Mr.
Yeah.
McCollum. Thank you very much.
I think
And-
every
and
meeting.
if I don't need all of it, I'll give it to the other
Okay,
three.
that's good.
Every meeting, we have to have a joke about the roads in District 5. Did you notice that? Every.
They're well taken care of.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, you know, I will say something in Mr. Souther's defense. You know, normally it's a call and complain, but we did have a very pleasant meeting with a constituent out on Ranch Road. The lady was very nice. And it was very good meeting, and we're going to be able to address a little problem. So everything worked out well. So
I appreciate that too,
yeah.
Bill.
Well, sometimes you can't talk real intelligently over the phone sometimes about a situation you're not sure about. It's true. So
Amen.
anyway, we got it resolved. So anyway, yeah, it's been good so far. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn to our fiscal court members. Manager Suzzard, anything?
Combines are in the road, just please give us as much room as you can. We're wide and we're slow and we're in a hurry, you're in a hurry, and just please give us a little room. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Master Putman.
Thank you, Judge, but all's good in the fourth.
Master McCollum.
All is good in the fifth, thank you.
Wow, this is easy. Master Berry.
I'm still waiting for my blacktop. Other than that, everything's good in District 1. Yeah.
Mr. Gold.
Things are good in the county attorney's office. Want to give kudos to Greg Mullins, Brian Bishop, and Jonathan Dixon for their work putting on the wiffle ball tournament for the Boys and Girls Club this past weekend. I will say that the county judge's team did better than last year. We went pretty far in the tournament, so that was a good development. Thanks to Nicholas Schneider, who was our ringer. But it was a whole lot of fun for a great cause. So it was good to see everybody out there.
Thank you, Mr. Gold, and Steve was part of our team. Did great. We had a good time. It's a good event, and Boys and Girls Club is a great project to contribute money to. So, all is good in my office. We are in the process of developing the State of the County video, which I think I messaged you all about. The Chamber is requesting we do it this way this year. And to reiterate, we're going to try to create something that is not just useful to the Chamber for that, but something we can use for several months afterward, try to make it a little less timely, something we can use to promote fiscal court and the work we do over a period of months. So stay tuned on that. I may need you to take a team photo here before too long to augment that, but we'll see how that goes. So I'll give you a heads up in advance. so you can break out the suits and ties again when you need to. So, other than that, things are going well. I know that we're coming up on vacation season, and we're going to have, I'm going to be out of town. I know several members of our team will probably be vacationing, so I hope everybody enjoys the downtime and gets refreshed as we head into fall and the holidays. So, I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Yes, sir.
Can I say something?
Can I inquire as to what it's about?
Oh, I'm Judge Kelly Thompson. I was just in town and go to say hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, step up to the mic.
Yeah, it was the mask threw us off.
I'm your elected judge, Judge Kelly Thompson on the Court of Appeals. We're
Yes, sir.
having oral arguments over across the street at 2 p.m. I got here early to see Herbie's going to take me to the Lions Club for a speech. But I just wanted
Okay.
to say hello. Thank you very much.
Glad you're here. Glad
And
you're
one
with us.
more thing.
Yes,
In
sir.
Warren County, we go Squire Southern, Squire Putnam. I just wonder why it's magistrate here. I never have understood the difference. Thank
Well,
you.
it's what it says on the sign, below, so I just go with that. Thank you, Judge Kelly. Appreciate you being here. We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor can leave.